It's December 20th, 2015, and we want to know, has Detective Comics come to give Brian the ultimate form of ocular distress for Christmas?
Does Oliver Queen have a bone to pick with these skeleton ninjas?
All this and more is coming up now. It's the Christmas episode of DCR here at DCR.
We rescue a world from mysticism and tyranny and usher in a future brighter than anything we can imagine.
Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's
Distress Citizens Radio.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the DCR. As you can tell by those jingling bells, it is our Christmas episode.
That's how
what
you
you
do
told
it.
me. You said just throw some sleigh bells in there, and it's a Christmas episode.
Yep.
Probably going to get annoying really, really quickly, though.
Keep it going, keep it going.
I, of course, remain your host, Sean Lamont, comic book reader extraordinaire, and I'm joined, as always, by the Punmeister General, or whatever craptacular name he gave himself last week, Mr. Brian Glein. Hello, sir.
Hey, Sean, how's it going?
We're also joined this week by Brian Glein's cough drop, who apparently is going to be running third mic for us this week.
Yep.
Yay, winter. We love it in Northeast Ohio. What do we have? 65, 25, 15, 35, 65,
Yep.
15.
Yep. Gotta love it.
Yep. But why don't you tell the nice people what we're going to do, what we're going to bring them for Christmas here on this podcast?
We are going to spoil all of the comics that came out in DC's DCU line.
That sounds kind of grinchy, honestly. Spoiling things?
But from the first week of November.
Oh, so it's technically not really spoilers even at this point.
Exactly.
It's kind of a...
People just like hearing about things that happened, so you know.
That's fine. That's what we're here for. I'm just saying, are we really a spoiler cast right now?
I know. Are we just a recap cast?
I think we're kind of a...
Recaps? I don't know.
Recast? Yeah. No, I don't like that at all. Okay. But if you have not read your books, it's the holiday season. People are busy.
Yeah.
People have a lot of things going on. They may not have read them. So if you are one of those folks...
That has a gigantic stack of stuff you need to read sitting on your nightstand.
Well, not everyone reads every book that comes out. They might just have like 2 or 3 issues
What?
back.
People don't do that?
Yeah, I know.
Huh.
Shock of all
Man.
shocks.
Weird.
No, that's sane.
Okay.
It's sane
Yeah, you're right.
is what that is. But if you have not read your books since the November, you may
Who would
not want to
suggest doing such a thing. I can't imagine such a person.
I'm pretty sure just rational people
Okay.
pick things that they want to read and read them, and that's kind of where they stick.
Okay.
A lot of irrational folks also buy stuff that they don't want to read just so they can complain about how they don't like it, though. So
Because internet.
yeah, because internet. It's the internet age, man. But if you have not read them, do not listen ahead because we are going to spoil all the things that happened in those books. It's kind of a tiny episode. I have my sister who's just flying in today from London, and Hollywood Scott just came in from...
When she shows up, are you going to say, oh, hello?
Yes, I am, actually. I'm going to see if she just met Alfred everywhere. And, but where's Hollywood Scott flying in from?
Hollywood.
Oh, that's why we call
him Hollywood Scott.
But yes, so
Would you like me to tell you about when the War of 1812 happened there, Sean?
What was that? No, we do have to shorten it up a little bit this week just because of the holidays and people coming into town. So we're just going to do 1 week. So without any further Christmas ado, except for these jingle bells, let us move forward. Let us slay.
Are we going to force our way into the next?
Oh, no. We're not allowed to talk about
that.
that.
Gotcha.
We're not that much of a spoiler cast.
Okay.
No talking about that. Into this week's books. I know of a war we can talk about, though.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah, did you like that
Darkseid
segue?
War. Are you ready for some awesome
No, we're not allowed to talk about the Darkseid War. Because that's the movie with the dark side and wars and stuff. We can't talk about that.
I see what you did there. No, we are doing Justice League Darkseid War. Are you ready for some red hot war action?
I am.
Well, you're not going to be getting any of it in these two books, I'm sorry to say. If you're enjoying the Darkseid War story over in Justice League, This gives you stuff that happens kind of off to the side that's barely related to it.
What was it? Just kind of filling in the gaps on why these people being gods may not be the best idea?
It's sort of presupposing, let's assume that this Darkseid War story isn't just one singular day event. It took place over the course of several days.
Okay.
So here's sort of what happened on the off days when they weren't punching the anti-monitor.
On leg day.
Yeah, exactly. Superman. We're going to start off with Justice League Darkseid War. Superman, he never skips leg day because he's the god of strength.
Oh.
Yes.
Upper body or just generally?
Seems like kind of an all-around.
Okay, good. Well encompassed.
Yeah.
That's a good role model right there.
Yeah, well, you dated Wonder Woman for a while, so,
Fair enough.
When she's forced him to do CrossFit constantly, you kind of get used to it, All right, Sean, so I think with some of the new facts that came to light last week about Superman...
Okay.
I think he might need some help more than just making sure he doesn't skip leg day.
Okay, like tacos or that one.
We'll get there because you see, in this issue we have Nega Superman, God of Strength, who has seemingly abandoned Metropolis. Perry White's getting really angry about it, and it's like, let's write some angry headlines about it because people like being angry these days.
He's a menace.
Yes. When suddenly Superman comes crashing into the bullpen and beats up an alien in a robot suit, and Perry's just like, "Oh my goodness, why is Superman always crash into the Daily Planet?"
It's like does he think he works here?
I know. So Superman's being a real super jerk, and it's like this alien is so beneath the phenomenal cosmic powers of the super god that he doesn't even beat him up. He's just like, I'm going to beat you anyway, so I'm just going to assume you should just go walk off.
So he just berates him to death?
He's got berates and, emotionally damages this poor alien in a robot suit. Just leave. You're going to die anyway.
We're all going to die in this cold vacuum of space.
Because, you see, there are more important things out there that Superman has to worry about.
Okay, like what?
Like pie.
Reasonable.
When he says when you say I love, Super God says pie. So he goes to the diner for some damn good pie. He orders a pie after every sentence the waitress said later on when she was telling Dana Scully. So Superman, I think, has an eating problem.
Uh-oh.
First the top.
He's a binge eater.
Yeah,
he's a binge eater.
First the pies. Later on, the taco thing's going to happen. He needs help.
He does.
He needs help.
We need an intervention.
Mm-hmm. So Jimmy tries to convince Superman that he's not acting normal, and after
Is he still glowing in that gray pale?
Yeah, he's got that negative...
Superman says it's just not right.
I don't know what it is.
Black and white.
That lady in the diner likes it. She was all about polarity reverse Superman. It's like I got a Photoshop filter over me. That's the ladies love Photoshop filters.
I'm the Instagram guy. Rawr.
The youngins love it. This is how I get all savvy for the social media age.
Pre-applied filter. Who's next?
Yep. Tahoma just wasn't working, but this is great. Anyway, the alien's robot suit that got left behind, it starts emitting this shadow goop monster that starts to cover the entire city. So Superman, thanks to the help of a friendly pigeon landing on his shoulder, realizes that maybe there are good things in life worth saving.
Like pie.
Like pie and pigeons. Things that start with P, you know. So he uses his mega freeze breath to cover the entire city with ice to freeze the shadow goop monster. Then when he punches the ice, shatters all the ice and the goop monster, but doesn't damage anything else in the city.
Holy crap. Apparently Nega Super God has some engineering degrees under his belt right now.
Take that, Karnak. You think you can get your own series? I can do this too. So then Superman might have some good left in him after all. He flies off and is going to go back to the Darkseid War.
Does it go all Pleasantville and he turns back to color?
At
or
one
is there
point,
a flower that's in color around him?
When he sees the pigeon, his eyes go back to normal and they're not glowing black. So they go back to blue, and then all of a sudden he still goes back to Nega Superman when he's doing everything.
Fair enough.
So we'll see what continues on, or if the pigeon shows up in Darkseid War or anything.
That's the turning point of the Darkseid War, is that pigeon.
That pigeon. That's a very important Paint it green, call it Beast Boy, give it Justice League membership. Come on, Cyborg's already here. So I'm going to continue on to Justice League Darkseid War, The Flash.
Any war in this one? Are we warring?
This literally takes place between two panels in the last issue of
Holy
Justice
crap.
League.
Well, I guess if it's the Flash, you can get away with that.
I suppose so. Yeah, so the Black Racer took over the Flash to make him the god of death. So inside of his head, the Flash tries to fight off the temptation to let him take over his body entirely. And for him to permanently bond to the Flash, he only has to kill one person. Just one person. And I am forever endeared to the Black Racer when he says, Hey, Barry, why don't you go kill Iris West? And Flash is just like, no, I couldn't. And the Black Racer says, but come on, you have, like, anti-chemistry. She's like, your sister? I don't care if it's adopted. That's still really creepy. Who thought that would make a good unrequited love story? It's almost as if it's the only part of your life that doesn't work, and yet there's this unseen force that's continuing to push that part of your story along. What about that nice Caitlin Snow? She seems nice. You shouldn't kill her. He's like, okay, Black Racer, this is really confusing and literally makes no sense with my current continuity. Oh, right. This is the version that's constantly forcing you to be a dad to her nephew, drove a wedge between you and your girlfriend, and is constantly ruining your life with her reporting. My bad. This one's totally working out for you. He's just like, hey.
You have a point, but...
Wait a minute, living embodiment of death. You might have a point here. But instead, he tries to kill the Black Racer as his one death. But in doing so, he unleashes death out to the entire universe completely unchecked. He's like, oh, wait, that's not a good thing to do. And then he realizes that the one death that already broke him was his mother. So he lets the Black Racer take over. Aww. And he is the god of death. And we continue on with the rest of the issue of Justice League.
Well, that doesn't sound that bad.
No, it was pretty good. And like I said, Black Racer's on my side. Team Baitlin
Does he just
or whatever.
hold up the panels? He's like, look, does a normal person do this to someone? Just foist off their niece or nephew onto some random stranger that they happen to meet one day at a crime scene? Come on. This is madness. You shouldn't stand for this. Okay, well, next up, I have my own little mini event going on here. Batman and Robin Eternal, number 6. It's our weekly. We're back on schedule with the weeklies. We're doing weekly Batman and Robin-y things. And there's many more Robins than Batmans in this one, that's for damn sure. Because we're dealing with the fact that Mother, this overarching villain that seems to have a history with Batman, was creating designer people. Be they assassins, be they wives, etc. She just builds and pre-programs people to be exactly whoever the buyer wants them to be. And there's this list of people that has a bunch of people's names on it that all turned out to be designer people from Mother. And we found out that also people like Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, Jason Todd are also on this list. And it's causing a little bit of a, do you think Batman mail ordered us? That would be a little awkward. I hope he didn't do that. And Grayson,
it would explain Grayson a lot. It would really explain him.
But Grayson has decided he needs to figure out what's going on and try to eliminate that being the fact. And the only one that he really doesn't know much about in the past is Tim Drake. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to go to Tim Drake's parents' house and ask them some simple questions to try to get to the bottom of this. So he shows up, turns on his little hypnose things, and of course, you know, random guy with a swirly face, they just let him right in.
Oh, yeah.
And he asks some very simple questions like, oh, your son's dead? Can I see the death certificate? And I'm like, that's an awkward question, strange, swirly-faced man. I don't think we want to answer that one. But his subtle interrogation is broken up when Poppy Ashmore, the crazy cannibal doctor lady that worked with him at Spiral that turned on him and ended up being a plant for Mother, comes busting through the door with God Garden technology, this staff with a hand and a jar on it that makes whatever weapon you want come out of it, and she starts attacking him and trying to kill him. You know, the usual.
I love the God Garden.
I know. It's just rando stuff that they're like, I don't know how this works, but it does, and it's kind of cool looking visually. Yeah. And so they start fighting amongst each other when Tim Drake's parents go, uh-oh, I think these people know Tim Drake, that he's Red Robin. we should use his safety features, and they say the magic word that turns their house into an X-Men danger room. As they get pulled down into a safe room, and lasers just start shooting all over the place. Leaving
Lots of lasers.
Yeah.
Metal tentacles.
Metal tentacles everywhere, but leaving Grayson and Poppy to be like, what
We are
the
not
hell
sentinels.
just
We are
happened?
manhunters.
But they continue their fight in the laser danger room thing going on there. Meanwhile, Harper Row and Cassandra Cain have made it back into the city. They've escaped from the Batcave, and they're roaming around the city, and Cassandra is leading Harper to the same church. A lot of this story is going on. There's a past story that it seems like the first time Batman ever ran across Mother when Dick Grayson was still there, and he was trying to keep Dick out of it when he was still just starting off as Robin. So there's some of these little things that are showing up, and in the past story, the first time they ran across the orphan and Mother and stuff like that was here at this church, and Cassandra's leading Harper here when they are suddenly attacked by the orphan, the guy in the gray ninja suit that has to breathe scarecrow toxin to keep his sanity.
Man.
Yeah, it's not a good job.
No.
Really, at all. So he gets the drop on Cassandra and knocks her out of the way, and then just beats the living, loving crap out of an already stabbed and injured Harper Row, whose entire role in the series has basically been snark and blood. She's just been beaten up and then goes, I'm not done yet.
I guess there's another piercing for me.
That is until Cassandra Cain introduces the orphan to the New 52 by chopping his hand off with a sword and says, welcome to the New 52, bitch. And he goes whoop, 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 and runs away without a hand after Harper Row gets a tracker attached to him, so they can of course have misadventures tracking him down later. Back at Casa de Drake, though, it's the Grayson Poppy Danger Room showdown where they're just like jumping around through lasers and shooting at each other and tentacles again and stuff until finally he gets the drop on her and knocks her out. And as he's dragging her outside, Tim has shown up because all of his alarms are going off that his parents' house is under attack. And he sees Grayson there and he's like, my parents said you were asking about my death certificate? What the hell, man? What are you doing? Don't you trust me? Don't you trust us? Of course, we know he's actually working for Mother, but shh, don't tell anyone. And Grayson goes, hey, it's Bruce would have done the exact same thing. We have to know. You're always so secretive about your past. I just need to make sure that our core team is in the clear. And that's when Tim goes, oh yeah, and lays him out with a single punch. He goes, yeah, that's exactly what Bruce would have done, but that's why I expected better from you, Dick Grayson. And walks away, leaving sad-faced Dick Grayson on his knees on the ground like, what have I become? It's really good. It's a good dynamic story between all these characters. If Tim Drake again gets some redemption maybe from previous appearances, it would probably work out best for him. If they even just wipe it all away and say he's been such a tool bag because of bad programming.
Yes.
We fixed that. Now he's a likable character again. I'm good with that as well. It is a very heavy Grayson show though. It's kind of a,
they just want to make I guess that would technically be a second, third, fourth, and fifth Grayson's book every month.
He's getting a lot of play. And that
we are
Grayson
not
title,
complaining.
No, not at all. I mean, I think he is a B tier character that deserves to be an A tier. He's put in the time and he's had probably the most as far as a legacy character graduating and doing things and moving on in maybe all of comics. I mean,
possibly
Bucky would probably be the secondary, but there was the whole tit for tat type thing where that was the Dick Grayson and Bucky coming back and taking over their mentors' roles at the same time.
Yeah, and he has a lot less history to him because he was one of those off-limits.
And he disappeared for 60 years.
Yeah, he was one of those off-limits characters for a while.
Yeah, so I think Dick Grayson has more than put in the legwork to do it, and I hope he actually does get pushed. I think he deserves a multimedia platform. And I think what they're doing now is building that base and the characters and the supporting and the outside of the other characters so that he can have that. But
and maybe this will finally be the break him away from Batman.
Yeah, and honestly, this title though does make it so I do kind of like him interacting with those characters a lot. So this is kind of scratching that itch while he's off doing his Spiral super spy stuff. So I quite like this one a lot. Am I going again?
going again, or is it me?
No, I'm going again
Okay.
because I keep it with the Bat theme with Detective Comics.
Gotcha.
Did you read this one, Brian?
I did not know.
All right. It's Jim Bat's first adventure with the Justice League.
Oh, man, I forgot that's what this was.
Yeah, they signed him up and said, hey, we have a murder scene and you're a detective and Batman was our detective before. Think you could step in and do some CSI stuff for us? And he's like, yeah, I guess. I mean, it can't be any more different than any of the crime scenes in Gotham. They're all kind of weird. So the first thing they did was fly him to Antarctica and say, hey, here's a giant skeleton. Figure out what happened. And he goes, I hate this. Why did I sign up for this? So using his powers of CSI, he's able to determine that this giant skeleton was stabbed in the back of the skull with a stalactite, stalagmite, whatever. I can never get it.
It was coming out of the ceiling. It was a stalactite. It was coming out of the ground. It's a stalagmite.
A stalactite. And he goes, well, right here we can see where the blunt force trauma to the back of the head. And he's like, yeah. I mean, yeah! And they track the source of the weapon to a nearby cave where there's another skeleton that's still holding the stalactite and has plunged it into its own chest. And he's like, yep, open and shut case. Giant murder suicide. Saw it all the time in my rookie year. And they're trying to figure out what's going on. He's just going, I don't know what happened, but it looks like this one killed the other one and then killed themselves. So, I mean, I guess giants aren't too much different from people because we do actually see this all the time on the streets. And he goes, okay, well, I guess let's pack it in. Let's take all this stuff back to the crime lab, the giant crime lab, I guess. Do we have one of those? We'll make one, I'm sure. When suddenly another giant monster attacks them, spewing eye viscera at all of the like the goopy humor stuff that keeps your eyeballs.
I don't find that humorous at all.
Not at all. Trapping the League inside its goopy eye ichor, while only Cyborg and Jim Bats are able to escape. And as the two of them are waiting outside the cave, they're like, we have to save them. And they're trying to figure out a way to do it. Jim goes, I think I have this whole thing figured out. I've put together the clues. And he's like, oh, yeah? What was it? He's like, well, clearly the first skeleton was the father monster, and it was mortally wounded trying to escape, probably from an alien crash. So the mother put him out of his misery by craving in his skull, and then took the baby back to the cave where they were trapped, and she let him eat of her flesh because they had no food, until finally she couldn't survive anymore and killed herself, allowing the baby to eat the rest of her body and survive to this very day. And Cyborg just looks at me, he's like, no, that's stupid as hell. There are no clues that would say that is exactly what happened. He's like, nope. Open and shut case. Saw it all the time in my rookie year. So he goes, okay, well, let's go in and save the guys. And they both get in there, and he convinces Cyborg to put a holographic projection over the skeleton, the mom skeleton in the cave there. And as he's distracting the monster, Cyborg does so, and the monster stops and looks down and falls to his knees and is just like, thank you. I get to see her again. Our father was injured in a crash, and we had to put him out of his misery. And my mother dragged me back here, and we had no food, so she allowed me to eat of his flesh until she could stand it no longer and killed herself, allowing me to consume the rest of her body. But since my mother's milk was eye viscera, apparently, I just eat eye viscera, and yeah, I had to go find some, so I was sending out this goopy stuff to go pull out people's eyeballs and bring it back to me so I could eat. And Jim Bats is just like, vindicated.
Oh my god.
But they free the rest of the League, and as they're sitting there, trying to figure out what to do next with this eye viscera monster, Cyborg scans him, and Superman can see it as well that he's on his last leg. He's got lung cancer. He wasn't from this planet. The atmosphere is not compatible whatsoever. He's got
just throw some water on him. I saw it in a movie
minutes,
once.
hours, days. He's about to die really, really painfully. And then the alarms go off and go, earthquake, earthquake. And the rest of the League are like, oh, we gotta go take care of that. I guess we'll leave the eye viscera monster here to die. And Jim Bats goes, you guys go ahead. I'll take care of this. And he hangs back while the rest of the League flies off and sings Hush Little Baby to the monster as it kneels down and cradles itself into the dead body of its mother and peacefully dies. And he's just like, this is not what I expected my first Justice League adventure to be. Sad.
Cry. And let the monster eat your tears. Apparently.
It's funny. It's sad and touching at the same time. It was great interactions between all the characters. Shazam's just like, why do we just have this old dude with us? What is he going to bring to the table? And the rest of the team are just kind of like, okay, well, let's just ease him into it. Well, we can't ease him into it by taking him to a giant skeleton murder-suicide. That's not easing him into it. So it's funny to see them trying to bring him in and forgetting sometimes that he isn't Bruce Wayne Batman. He's a completely different person, and they're leaning on him very hard and then going, oh, sorry, forgot. This is like day 2 for you. Didn't mean to do that. and then Jim Vance just kind of taking it all in stride, because being the commissioner of Gotham City Police, you just roll with the punches after so many years. You just go, rain and blood today. Okay, sure. I mean, I guess I'm just going to have to deal with it. Bring an umbrella, guys. It's raining blood outside of Gotham. Whoop-de-yay. I recommend.
Okay.
It's fun. I do love his CSI work, though.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is what happened.
Back in my day, we worked on hunches. None of these computers and enhancing hunches.
So why don't you wrap up this half for us, Brian?
I'm wrapping up this half with...
I'm giving you my gift for Christmas.
I know, right? With Midnighter number 6. Holy crap. All right, so... Midnighter and his boyfriend Matt are trying to have Thanksgiving dinner when who should attack Matt's high-rise apartment but Multiplex. He's gotten a hold of something called the Butcher Blaster, and a bunch of him is trying to take out Midnighter in a helicopter.
For revenge after he beat them all up on his quote-unquote birthday.
Mm-hmm. But Midnighter jumps out of the window, throws a fork through one of their heads. As that guy falls out of the helicopter, Midnighter grabs onto him, climbs up his safety tether into the helicopter, and just murders the crap out of the rest of the multiplexes. And the last one that was driving is like, there will always be more of Multiplex. You'll never kill us all. And he's just like, I know. That's why you're my favorite. And then heroically lands the helicopter on the roof of Matt's apartment building.
It's so great. That's like the perfect villain for him, because he can just murder him over and over and over again. And he's just like, this is just so cathartic.
They have redeemed Multiplex in such a way that I am going to be disappointed if he doesn't show up at least every couple issues with this.
I want to see like every 3 issues, Multiplex's grand scheme to get revenge against Midnighter.
Oh, well, guess that. Nice to see you're still trying.
Just Multiplex keeps making more, and he's like, okay, guys, here's what we're doing this time. No, man, we're not going back out there. Every time we do this, Midnighter kills 80 of us.
Multiplex Prime is holed up in his little bunker with his Xbox and his Cheetos. We're good. We're good. Unfortunately, in the process, the gigantic green Butcher Blasts, or whatever the heck they were, still destroyed Matt's apartment. And Midnighter's like, well... guess we're just gonna have to take a vacation while we fix it. You know, typical Midnighter vacation. So they use his doors to go off on a very normal vacation, looking at waterfalls, fighting devil acrobat bank robbers, camping, beating up mob bosses with gorilla brains. You know, Tuesday. So eventually, they realize they'll have to go back to reality. So they head back to Matt's apartment, which Midnighter, he didn't call in contractors, he regrew using wild growth apartment molecules. It's like, yeah, they can mimic any urban molecule it sees. You just let it go for a few days. It's kind of like a house chia pet, or one of those salt yetis. Oh, oops, Christmas spoiler. So Matt is just gobsmacked. But then he gets the bad news that his dad has been beat up because they were both seen in public on the news. Their vacation was very public for some reason. Don't know why.
I just want to hear like the vacation as they're like skipping through. It's just snapshots of them punching people and like kissing over the corpses of dead multiplexes.
I love Midnighter so much. So they go to this ultra suburban town in Connecticut, and Midnighter tries to avenge Matt's dad. So he beats up all the local toughs in town, but just can't get any leads. And he's trying to figure out why suburban hate crimes are suddenly too hard for a guy who punched the moon for looking at him funny once. So as he's
that is a literal storyline, by the way. Everyone.
Yes, I know. So
we love you, Midnighter.
We love you so much. So as he's trying to figure that out, some local toughs try to drive by him in a school bus. So naturally, he jumps inside and crashes into a meat store. Tuesday. So, it turns out that they're not really people. They have something called Holt Griffin skin, which I didn't have time to figure out what the heck that's supposed to mean, but it's Holt Griffin skin, which is a God Garden trick that renders things undetectable by his computer brain. So he finally figures out what's going on. Goes and punches Matt's dad so hard that he explodes. And Matt's just like, what? Dad, why would you, what? It's like, he was an industrial homunculus. Keep up, Matt. Come on.
Weren't you just at the school bus murder thing?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, come on, man.
Picked up some steaks for later. Come on. So as Matt tries to come to grips with the absolute madness that is being within 100 feet of the Midnighter, he's in a consoling hug, and then he stabs the Midnighter straight through his guts, because it turns out that Matt, with his white hair that was just there for stylistic purposes, is actually Justice League villain Prometheus.
Oh!
One of the most famously misused awesome villains ever.
With his mini disc technology.
With his mini disc technology. I'm sure he's upgraded to at least USB 2.0 now, Sean.
Why can't he just, download now? Don't make him use mini discs.
At the time he was created, that was all there was.
I know.
He couldn't jack into the Matrix. It hadn't happened yet.
I understand this, but...
I'm sure now in the new 52, he's going to be completely different.
He's going to go all digital.
He's Wi-Fi now, I'm sure.
No, Wi-Fi was a Mr. Terrific villain.
Oh God, he was?
Yeah.
Oh, poor Mr. Terrific. So, yeah. So he was like the ultimate anti-Batman and the master of always being prepared. And this entire thing was a long con to take out the Midnighter, the other anti-Batman. This is so perfect.
There could be only one.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, my God, this is a comic.
It's a good way to introduce Prometheus, too.
Exactly.
As far as bringing him in.
You know what? Thanks to the DCU, Cry for Justice never happened. There you go.
I used to be a supervillain until I took an arrow to the face.
Yep. And God, ACO or ACO or however you say that, he is so flipping brilliant at drawing scenes of absolutely insane, complex violence. It's so good.
Yeah, but making it easy to follow as far as
I know, right? Sometimes just, the storytelling here is insane.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And Janin does the same thing over in Grayson as far as the crazy combat scenes where everyone's jumping around all over the place, but you literally just follow it okay, he's jumping there, he's jumping there.
Yeah. He threw a fork out of an apartment building and then jumped off of the yeah.
Did a spinning backflip, swan dive, grabbed the other guy, and I follow this.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas there have been books I've read where it's someone threw a punch and I'm like, wait, who got hit?
Yeah.
There was one punch thrown and I don't know who got hit.
That scene of him picking apart everyone inside of a school bus from above, good Lord. Good Lord. And this is also a comic that had Gorilla Boss in it in 2015. Come on.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep. Dig it deep.
Yep.
So I am vindicated myself, much like Jim Gordon.
I mean, I've been reading along too,
I know,
but my God.
But I've been covering it for the first 5 issues. I needed A, parody and issue count for this week, and B, I figured it would be vindication so that people could understand it's not just me. I know I gush over things and some things maybe not everyone likes that I'm just I love this. It's so much fun because my tastes are a little off kilter on occasion as well. And sometimes it can just be a line or a character that shows up that I'm
we like those dreaded critical darlings.
I do?
Both of us. We do,
Do we?
Our favorite books are always being canceled, yes.
Oh, that's what critical darling means.
Yes.
Gotcha. No, I like a lot of books, so.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a happy guy with a lot of the stuff that's coming out, but Midnighter.
Midnighter.
Really high on that list.
Good Lord, Midnighter people.
All right, so we're going to take a quick 5-second break here so I can grab another soda. But, Brian, what do you have coming up for the second round?
I got Green Arrow and BatMite, I believe.
Yes, you do, and I have the Lobo. But which Lobo, Brian? Which Lobo?
Oh, man.
Green Lantern wrapping up the Black Hand storyline there, and I will finish off this Christmassy episode with Harley and Power Girl and their misadventures with Vartox in space. Hold on a couple seconds. We're going to come right back, and we will go through those books. And we're back. That we are, and we're ready for more books, or no? No more books. You want to talk about something else instead? So let's talk about Warhammer 40K.
Okay.
There's Space Marines.
They're very tiny.
Well, no, those are models. They're actually human size.
All right.
No, but let's
I
talk
guess
about
that puts
space,
everything in
though.
a real different light.
Yeah, this is totally different now. Let's talk about space, though, because I have Lobo coming up to lead off the back half of the show. Brian, do you like skinny, sexy time Lobo?
Oh, no, he's pretty awful.
Well, I mean, he's supposed to be
people,
awful.
you know. I mean, I realize that's the whole thing, you know.
Well, in this one, he has finished his contract with Sinestro. He's done working for Sinestro, so it's time to head back into the criminal underworld and work as the chief assassin for the crime bosses there. And in this mission, he is busting up a rival drug smuggling operation when he, gets exposed to this yellow drug that they were manufacturing. And he's like, yuck, that doesn't taste good at all, and goes about his life as he murders all the people that were making it. Unfortunately, though, it seems this drug is affecting him a little bit. He's kind of seeing things from his past, illusions of people that aren't actually there, enemies of his, and he's being sent into this rage where it seems like everyone he's talking to is trying to control him, trying to tell him what to do. Nobody tells Lobo what to do. And it finally goes to a boiling point when he loses his grip on the underworld boss, seeing her as someone else, and attacks her, and she goes, "You've betrayed me! No! I will sick the entire underworld on you." And he goes on a rampage of death. I'm talking...
On a rampage.
Yeah, he is just murdering everyone, and as he's doing so, he's getting bigger and muscular, and muscles are building on top of muscles. And he's like, grrr, hulking out and like, Lobo smash, and just destroying people all over the place until finally he goes, Lobo angry. Lobo gonna do what everyone told him not to do when he's going to hunt down the guy that everyone said not to hunt down. And he brings up his computer and he hits the button and up pops Hal Jordan, and he's like, Lobo smash Hal Jordan, as he goes flying off into space in his spaceship. So, do you think we're going to get a Jekyll and Mr. Hyde Lobo type thing? Or, because that could work on Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah, I can see that.
As far as, maybe give this one a little bit more snark speaking powers than grr smash grr.
Oh, is that literally all he's doing? I couldn't tell if that was just you adding.
There's a lot of inner monologue of him thinking things.
Okay.
But there isn't much vocalization of those words.
I see.
There's a lot of Lobo smash type stuff.
Not even one bass stitch?
No, not one.
Man.
So, but I think it could be a good blend to give some of the people what they wanted, old Lobo style, while still maintaining the storytelling opportunities of Sexy Time Lobo.
I still wonder what people want out of Lobo, because he never really showed up in like any extended form ever. He was just always like an annual Superman villain.
Well, he was
and
Pope
he had
for a while.
his specials. I know he was a space pope for a while.
I mean, that's pretty important. One does not just simply become space pope. I mean, but no, it was a interesting turn for the character, and I think if they run with it, they could actually maybe start pulling some people in from the old stuff. Maybe if that's more their style, and maybe it might turn them on.
Got chains again, but they are laser chains.
They are laser chains, just FYI. Danger room chains? I don't know what we call them, but yeah, it'll be great. Oh, hey, Midnighter, how are you?
Hey.
But yeah, I think it might give some people an in to, I don't know, maybe start to gravitate towards the character a little more.
Because they didn't like Robert Pattinson.
No, there was a obvious mutiny against that one. So. But we talked about Hal Jordan. Lobo's coming for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good place to be.
No.
We know where a worse place to be? At the source wall with Relic.
Okay.
That's probably a worse place to be, because we're going to jump over to Green Lantern number 46, where in his efforts to stop Black Hand, who has absorbed the power of the source wall and is able to turn things to stone, has decided to not do any sneakery or anything like that, and just flies up to Relic with his green power gauntlet with a knocked out Black Hand. He's like, hey, I get it. I know the spiel. I hate lightsmiths. You're draining the well of energy. Blah, 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 blah. But look, this guy has the source wall energy in him. We need to get it back in the source wall. You know that as well as I do. So can we let bygones be bygones for just a couple minutes while we figure this out? And he's like, yeah, sure. I'm a scientist. I do science. Let's do that. And he goes, science on him. And he goes, oh, well, I can tell from my science that the energies of the source wall are trying to get back into the wall, but he's not letting it. So, I guess we just throw him in the wall and that should fix it. And they go, oh, okay. I guess that's an option. But unfortunately, while he's doing science, Black Hand comes to, turns his prison to stone and breaks out of it. And he's like, grrr, you guys screwed me over so hard in Godhead. I cannot believe how badly you guys screwed me over. I'm going to get my revenge right now. And it's this big fight scene where they're trying to get him into the wall, but they can't touch him without turning to stone. So they're just like, I don't know, blowing on him really hard, like, go that way. They try to do the whole, like, Toro, where they like dive out of the way and make him fly into the wall. And he's like, guys, I'm not that dumb. I know I'm a little goofy, but I'm not stupid. But they are luckily saved when Darlene the spaceship, along with, Virgo and Trapper, show up and shoot a grappling hook at him, knocking him into the wall. And he's still not being stuck into it. And they're like, uh-oh, that was my only grappling hook. I don't really have anything else to do to stop this. And as he swears his revenge and goes to fly away, he finds that his arms are actually fused to the wall, and it starts pulling him in as he screams, please, mercy, don't make me go there. There's no one. I'll be all alone. No, why would you do this to me? You're an asshole, Hal Jordan. Why? And he gets slurped into the wall, and it fixes the hole in it, and yay, the universe is saved once again. And as they're doing so, Relic is like, ha! Science wins the day yet again. Now that that's over with, let us take care of our squabble over this light energy things, where I will smote you for your use of light. Hey, where'd everybody go? I was soliloquying here. You can't just fly away during that. Ooh, you rascally lanterns. And as we see, Hal Jordan has jumped into the ship and flown away with his crew, and he's decided to offer them jobs to be the new quote-unquote Lantern Corps. Trapper and Virgo, they're not going to be lanterns, but they're his crew to save he's going to fill the role of the missing Green Lanterns and try to help people out in their misfortunes. But first, he needs to swing by Earth because he has to go visit some people and at least say, hey, not dead guys. I know you heard some stuff about Green Lanterns, but we're doing fine. My leadership of the Lantern Corps continues with an unblemished record.
Yep.
Which we do get a quick ending scene where we flash back to Earth, where a Madoran freedom fighting force, some country that obviously has been occupied, is putting together a weapon of mass destruction, and they're going to send it to the city without fear so that they can strike fear into it to show them that they need people to take them seriously, that there will be a free Madora once again. So, City Without Fear, I'm assuming, is Coast City, aka Hal Jordan's hometown, which gets blown up a bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. So, probably not a good idea for this bomb to go there. I mean, that's construction work in Coast City, probably very lucrative. Mm-hmm. Very lucrative.
How many times have I had to put that City Without Fear sign back up?
Yeah. City, a little afraid right now.
Yeah.
City slightly worried.
City with slightly low IQ due to lack of fear.
City that does not learn from past mistakes.
Yep. Gotham, looking like a good option every day now.
That's their sign. At least we're not Gotham.
Yep.
All right, so next up, keep it green.
Keep it green, going on Green Arrow 46. All right, so Green Arrow and Tarantula are on a road trip to find his lost demon wolf dog, George.
Of course.
Which is taking them to Juarez, Mexico, which is being overrun by drugs and skeleton ninjas and tiny moths with skulls painted on their backs. They're totally getting my hopes up.
Uh-oh. Killer Moth is running this whole thing?
No. So, plus, on top of that, Oliver gets really annoyed by a Black Canary song on the radio, which, did Green Arrow and Black Canary ever have a thing in the New 52?
Kind of.
Because I thought the whole thing was that they weren't supposed to.
They haven't had an actual relationship, really. There's been illusion that there was a brief fling, but not an actual relationship or anything like that.
Okay. Anyway, convergence,
Yeah,
so,
convergence. Reset button.
So, the skeleton ninjas knew that they were coming, and they get the drop on them at Tarantula's bar, and they get kidnapped and taken to Hefe, yet another Green Arrow DCU villain with bleached white skin that betrays his ethnicity.
Okay.
Yeah, except
Seems to be a recurring theme
Except
here.
he's got like Dia de los Muertos skull patterns painted on his face, so different.
Okay.
Also, his entire mansion is made of bones.
That has to be very difficult.
He sits on a bone throne of bones. The only music he listens to, Bone Thugs in Harmony. We listen to it on game night when we play Rattle Me Bones. It was like a 3D pirate themed operation. It was ahead of its time. Also, every Christmas, I give out my bonuses to my skeleton ninjas in the form of gift cards to Smoky Bones Bar and Fire Grill. The food is adequate at best, but I have a theme to maintain, so
But I can't tell you this much: no souls can escape from that mansion because, as we all know, bones keep souls.
So Hefe has George the Wolf and is going to sacrifice him tonight at the Dia de los Muertos celebration and turn his skeleton into mystical weapons, or to try to trap a ghost inside of a little girl,
One of the two.
But it also turns out that Hefe has kidnapped Tarantula's cousin and was going to have her marry his creepy skeleton matador son. It's a little boy with a bowl cut, painted white in like an all-white matador outfit with skeleton face.
You're no flamingo. You can't be a matador-themed villain and not be flamingo.
It could be something else culturally relevant that I'm completely misinformed on, but So it turns out that Tarantula was just going to trade Oliver for her cousin.
Okay.
So, deception. She wasn't really working with him after all.
Is she actually Prometheus?
No.
Okay.
No, not yet.
Because that would be a pretty big twist.
Yeah. Really good mini disc there. So a big fight breaks out. Oliver rips the arms off the bone chair that he was tied to, which conveniently gives him Baraka blades on his arms, and somewhere a giant knowing Telos head watches on approvingly. So they managed to save Tarantula's cousin. They escape as Oliver is left to fight skeleton ninjas underwater.
That would be difficult.
It would be, especially with those gigantic, heavy, like mammoth tusks strapped to your arm.
Because skeletons don't seem very prone to slashing or piercing damage.
Yeah.
Anyone that played D&D knows it's bludgeon weapon types that are very potent against skeletons, not piercing or slashing.
But he's dual wielding. Does that help?
No, because he'll get a minus to his secondary attack.
Oh, okay. My mistake. I didn't notice
Jeez, Brian, keep up.
I did notice he wasn't wearing a Genji glove, so I guess that's
that should help him out a little bit. So what do you think? I mean, it's definitely taking him out of his wheelhouse.
It certainly is.
Giving a new perspective for Green Arrow, doing something a little different.
Yeah.
It's not Felicity being way too Felicity.
Yeah, I know. Like, Felicity, tone it down a little bit. Come on.
Plus, it's going to give him some more characters to run around with.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying, if you're going to have a Green Arrow story and you're going to have moths all over it, you're setting up certain expectations for me.
Air guns. We want air guns.
That's all we want.
And maybe Killer Moth wielding those air guns.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm going to move on to Harley Quinn and Power Girl. Number 5 out of 6. There's only one more left after this one, Brian.
They miss a month somewhere, or did they start later?
I think they started a month later because they were still wrapping up the lead-in story or whatever for it. So,
right.
Harley Quinn and Power Girl were fighting off against the God, what were they called? The NRA nuns, the nuns of whatever, and Odious Oreth and his super prude space army that he hated anything sexy or bad. So of course he attacked the ultra sexy groovy 60s planet of Vartox to destroy all of their heathen ways. and they were able to fend him off, but not before he summoned the Harvester of Sorrows, who is this giant bearded mechanical spacehead that shows up and goes, "Who dares summons this Harvester of Sorrows?" And they're like, "Oh, Odiosaurus did, that guy, but we killed him. You could totally leave." And he's like, "What? I'm in space. I can't hear you." And they're like, "No, the guy that summoned you is gone. You can leave." He's like, "Guys, I'm like a planet-sized head here. You're going to have to speak up. I cannot hear a word you're saying." So finally they get frustrated, and Harley Quinn decides she's going to infiltrate it from the inside and destroy it from inside, and starts attacking the inside brain of it by flying up its nose and attacking it, until she finally gets captured, and they try to drain her essence into it because that's what the Harvester of Sorrows does. Unfortunately, Harley Quinn, a little mentally unstable, so it ends up infecting the giant Harvester of Sorrows with Joker insanity, and it turns into a giant Joker head as it's about to explode, and Harley escapes, but she's kind of caught in a Joker haze where she's very, very violent and is berating Power Girl as they're trying to escape, literally rips off Vartox's glorious mustache, like, off his face, and he's like, "No, the source of my power." But they are able to escape and fly away as the giant head explodes behind them, Star Wars style. Or not Star Wars style, because we're not talking about that movie whatsoever. Nope. They end up landing. She comes back too. Luckily, Vartox, using his ultra masculinity, is able to grow his mustache back instantly. And they go, "Enough of this. This is insanity. We need to leave. Vartox, you promised if we'd help you out, you'd give us the little transdimensional ring so we could escape and go back to Earth, or go back to Earth, since we're out in space." That's how we have to say it. And he goes, "Of course, I'm more than willing to oblige in giving you this ring," and drops to his knee and proposes to Power Girl with it, who just responds with a, "Oh, hell no!" So now we get to see why there was a wedding, and, I guess we'll wrap it up with the glorious wedding of Vartox and Power Girl.
Okay.
It's silly. It is silly. I will say that much. I like Vartox. I kind of hope he comes across more and has his ultra masculinity. A lot of puns. I can imagine. Yes. So
I know what the series is giving us at this point.
Yes. It's. I'm just giving the brief recap on it because I don't want to try to do the humor, as I've said before, because it's going to fall flat if I just repeat the jokes. There's plenty of funny things in it. Me just repeating a joke loses a lot, so I'm just not going to do it because out of context and all that rot. So, check it out if that's your style. Goofy humor. Lol so random. So, wrap up the show for me,
I'm closing out the show with BatMite number 6.
Comedy gold.
Yep, so BatMite is desecrating national landmarks and turning them into Justice League-themed amusement park rides. And the government is not happy with this. And it turns out that his female roommate actually works for the government. You know, the one that has to live with a guy named Weed.
I mean,
she's actually a very important government assistant. Who would have thought? So while she's trying to deal with that, BatMite decides to improve the 2016 presidential rate with some all that level comedy jokes.
Okay, let's see what you got, BatMite.
It's like, "Oh, Hillary Clinton, you're a thing. Bernie Sanders, here's a something. Donald Trump, he's got crazy hair, doesn't he?"
Oh, okay. So what does he do?
He just he improves them at the same level of improving that he did,
Does he make them all 90s, pouches all over?
No, not even that.
And
He's just he's like, "Oh, Hillary Clinton now has like a Betsy Ross outfit on or something to make her more likable."
Okay.
Bernie Sanders did in fact go all like 90s hip hop dad.
That's kind of cool.
To be able to, communicate with the youth.
Okay.
Because, as we all know, the youth hates Bernie Sanders.
Yes, they do hate them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, so all I know is that it's nothing compared to my own personal commercial adventure this holiday season.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, Brian Glein, Man of a Dozen Voices, my comedy album series. I'm releasing All the President's Man, in which I impersonate all 43 presidents.
Oh, man.
Yeah, from modern classics such as...
Are you going to give us some samples here?
My rock solid Barack Obama, to my fellow American Bill Clinton, and my Ronald Reagan track where I just say "well" for 5 straight minutes.
That's a deep callback right there.
And you even get the classic presidents, too, like Abraham Lincoln, who many people weren't aware had a rather high speaking voice. And even William Henry Harrison and his famous saying, "Oh, a little rain never hurt anybody."
Oh.
Deep cut for my history teachers out there. You may ask, how can a man of a dozen voices impersonate 43 different presidents? You do the math. Act now, and I'll even throw in a bonus track of my impression of Norm Macdonald's impression of Dan Aykroyd's impression of Bob Dole.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, I was recapping BatMite. So, as it turns out, BatMite's archenemy, Gridlock, is a United States congressman.
Uh-oh.
And he just loves making sure that America is split 50-50 down the line. And Gridlock traps him with a knockout gas and a trapdoor. BatMite's only weakness.
That is like the fifth time he's been unbelievable power, but oh man, knockout gas. Oh, how'd you get me?
A trapdoor, who'd have thought?
How did you know?
So he's going to kill him after forcing him to watch the lost pilot of Galaxy Trek that he stole, and BatMite's been trying to get back. When BatMite offers him a chance to actually be in the pilot, using his phenomenal powers to put Gridlock in as a character in Galaxy Trek, his most favorite TV show ever. Of course, in 60s television, that means that bad guys always get beat up by the good guys. So, of course, in 60s television, that means the bad guy gets beat up by the good guys. So, with Gridlock taken care of, BatMite gets summoned back to the fifth dimension by the Silent Sentry. Where the secret tribunal that banished BatMite is going to punish him for all the havoc he wreaked on Earth by revealing that they're the Justice Mites of America, and they're all going to join up to fight the dreaded Canceltron, because I guess you can cancel a 6-issue miniseries at issue 6? I don't know.
Canceltron canceled them before... Well, they were already a 6-issue.
Yeah. I don't know.
Curse you, Canceltron!
Canceltron!
Although Canceltron has killed many of our beloved friends.
Yeah, so I suppose we should
definitely be rooting for them.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's all the books. What do you think of BatMite?
I was expecting something a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's this weird. It's like I
A
assumed
little
it
too
was gonna.
slapstick for you, or
I thought it was gonna be more all ages, and while it technically is, it seems like all the jokes are for like
old school readers.
Old school readers. So I'm not
Gotcha.
sure who's gonna get anything out of it. You know,
Bizarro's pretty fun.
Bizarro was a lot of fun.
So, all right. Well, that'll wrap us up for this one, the Christmas episode. We did it, Brian.
We did.
We delivered for Christmas. Well, we did something on Christmas week that we didn't think we were going to be able to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's more than we expected. As a reminder to you guys, go out there and buy these books. I know it's Christmas week. I know. Trust me. Last minute gift. If you can't think of something, pick up a trade for somebody.
Yeah.
Introduce them to something you like. Introduce them to something that they wouldn't read. We all have those books that we are entrenched into and we don't want to, we can't afford to, whatever. We just don't want to really branch out sometimes. The gifts are a great way to get someone hooked on a series that you love and maybe, they might love, or into the hobby whatsoever. Maybe they don't read anything and you're like, hey, try this on for size. And
There's
see
a little
if
gateway drug called Marvel's new Star Wars series.
Yeah, just give that a little read and
Yes.
see what you think.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can support it without going broke. Take care of yourselves first, but make sure you do support the hobby. Buy what you like. Support it, because if you don't, they don't make it, and everyone loses in that scenario. Next week will be difficult. We may have a mini-sode. I don't know how we're going to do it. Think Hollywood Scott wants to join, or
He might. It all depends on how everything works out time-wise.
yeah, it's gonna be a lot of squeaking. What with Christmas being on the weekend and all, it'll be a little difficult, but we'll figure it out. We'll get something up there, or at least a mini-sode, as I said, to tide you guys over through to New Year's. So, that being said, Brian, why don't you tell the folks how they can contact us?
By using the internet.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. You just type DCR podcast in, and there's tons of links out there to email and a website, kind of. Not really. Still working on that.
Yeah, I noticed when I was writing down all my plugs for my art show thing. It's just like, I type in DCR podcast and nothing shows up.
Yeah, I set
type
the
DCR podcast into internet.
Yeah, I set the forward on it, and then I started toying around with something different, and then forgot to set the forwarder back to what it was. And whoops, my bad. I noticed it this morning right before we started recording. I will fix that. That is it, I guess. Okay. Well, I guess you can email us at feedback@dcrpodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter and do, I guess, what you're supposed to do, which is like things or whatever. I never understood that myself. So if you don't worry about it. We do pop on and answer questions where we can on Facebook. I know a lot. Brian and Kelly are very kind about covering that one, and I try to cover Twitter as much as I can, but goddamn, I am so behind on everything in the world. But yeah, that's it. Everyone have a wonderful holiday if we don't speak to you before then, which we won't unless you're listening to this now and the stuff I say afterwards and you pause it like right now, and then after the holidays or during the holidays you hit play. Then right now I'd be speaking to you during the holidays, but that'd be weird. That's a little awkward.
Yeah.
Don't do that because you're almost done. We got like a minute left here. So enjoy your holidays. Enjoy Xmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. What else people celebrate? Festivus for the rest of us. Whatever you celebrate, just enjoy it. Have fun.
Boxing Day.
Don't go to work. Just don't do that. It's a bad call. So we will talk to you guys next week, and until then, enjoy your books, enjoy your week, enjoy your lives, and we will talk to you then.